I don't have the money for the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser, but more than that, I don't think I have the personality. Hey, I have not been to the Galactic Starcruiser, so if you're looking for a first-person review with a bunch of footage, look elsewhere. Some of you might be out there saying, how do you know if it's not for you? You haven't done it, you haven't experienced it. How do you know that it's not for you? What, you just read and watched a couple reviews? Well, yeah, that's what you do, right? I read and watch video game reviews before I buy a video game, and sometimes those reviews make me realize that a game is not for me. Same with a movie or a show or a book or anything. How is this any different? Every review I watch and read comes to a very similar conclusion about the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser. If you're not participating, if you're not LARPing, if you're not being an extrovert in your Star Wars boots and cloak and exploring every inch along the way when it comes to the storyline and participating, jumping into every story beat, basically becoming another cast member, then your experience won't be as fulfilling, or at least it will be a fraction of what it could be. Now, that sounds cool, but I don't think it's for me. Like, I own a full set of A New Hope Star Wars Stormtrooper armor. I've gone to a bunch of charity events over the years in my armor. I've done a ton of stuff like that over the past decade, but the idea of putting on some Star Wars clothes and following First Order Officer Jeff around a Star Wars cruise ship, looking down at my phone to receive mission updates and playing a real-world RPG, I don't know. It doesn't interest me all that much. Is that cynical? Maybe. I don't think so, though. I'm just being honest here. I want to know what you guys think. Does this experience sound like something that you are interested in? Not just as a Star Wars fan, but as a human. I think given the opportunity, even me, any Star Wars fan would raise their hand and say, yeah, I would love to try that out. I would love to try out the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser. Who's paying? Two of my favorite written reviews come from Walt Disney World News Today and Disney Tourist Blog. They're both very in-depth, mostly positive, but I find them to be extremely objective and critical and well done. And I'd like to share some of their thoughts, because sometimes I find that when I read a review of something like this, rather than seeing a video review on it, in my opinion, it's better. So I'll read a little bit from both reviews, we'll talk about it, and I'll give my thoughts along the way. Cool? Thumbs up? All right. Disney Tourist Blog says, quote, I describe myself as an outgoing introvert and also someone who has trouble suspending disbelief. I want to peek behind the curtain and can't help but think about the inner machinations of how things work. I've been incredibly curious about Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser because of its complexity and novelty, which I assumed would be detrimental to enjoying the experience as it unfolded. It was not in the least. Almost immediately, I was hooked and bought into what was happening. The show writing is genuinely good, with multifaceted and complex characters with their own agendas. A lot of this is layered, working on deeper levels. For example, there's one character who is an empowered member of an oppressed people seeking to recover a stolen ancestral artifact, while also connecting with Galaxy's Edge and providing satisfying closure to some of what starts there. When involved with this firsthand, it's shockingly powerful stuff. Close quote. That quote is one of my favorite blurbs from the Disney Tourist Blog review of Galactic Starcruiser. Tom Bricker sounds a lot like me, personality-wise, I think. And oh my god, he wore a flight suit to the Galactic Starcruiser. We could be best friends. This blurb about being an outgoing introvert and having trouble suspending disbelief, that's a very good way to describe myself, I would say. And hearing that he had a good time and was able to shed away that side of him to enjoy the ride, it's neat to hear. Maybe it gives hope to some of those of you out there who maybe are feeling the same way as I am about this thing, but maybe you have the means to go, and maybe this is a reason for you to want to go. I don't know. Maybe being at the Galactic Starcruiser opened him up to this opportunity, and it was like an uncontrollable switch was flipped while he was enveloped in this environment. Like he was the clapper waiting for a sound, and the Halcyon was a pair of hands ready to clap. What does that even mean? Walt Disney World News Today says, quote, is it worth it? I know this is the question everyone has. The answer is no. I've seen others try to sound objective, like, can you really tell someone if something is worth it to them? But when it comes down to it, there is a trade-off of goods and services for money, and the price of something delivers an expectation. That's life. So is it worth it at the price they are charging for it? No. It can't be. It's an insane amount of money. You can have a luxury cruise vacation for less money. Even the shortest Disney cruise is longer than this. It's true that those are very two different types of trips, and maybe it feels so rushed because it's great and you don't want to leave the story, I don't know. But whenever you spend money on an experience, even if you're very wealthy, it comes down to wanting to get the value of what you've paid and do everything you want to do. For Galactic Starcruiser, there's no way it's worth this amount of money. As a Star Wars or theater fan, you will have a tremendous, unbelievable, unforgettable time, but it's just an absurd amount of money, close quote. That's the conclusion. That's literally the final couple paragraphs of the Walt Disney World News Today review. The rest of that review, I'll read a bit of it here and there, written by Tom Corliss, is mostly positive. But obviously, money is the biggest barrier to entry when it comes to the Galactic Starcruiser, and Disney is there to make money. Things are expensive. There are premium experiences people pay for all around the globe. I get it. Not everything is going to be accessible to everyone. But when it comes to where I would want to spend my money and on what, I can think of 1,000 other places or things I'd rather see or do with $5 or $6 grand. And I'm glad this review concluded with a very similar sentiment. I'm sure it's fun. Both of these reviewers had a blast. I'm sure it's amazing. By all accounts, the Galactic Starcruiser is a one-of-a-kind theater, dining, improv experience, but like you can go to the Caribbean and the Bahamas for 5 days and get a balcony room that looks out at the vast ocean for $539. Or you can get a suite for $973 for 5 days. I mean, that's a no contest for me. Someone could go on 5-day Caribbean and Bahamas cruises. That's 25 days of vacation on the open seas and porting to beautiful destinations. 25 days for the price of 2 nights at the, as Katie Dowd of the San Francisco Gate put it, windowless bunker. But that's just me. You may feel otherwise. Disney Tourist Blog says, quote, "It's always true that cast members and performers are the heart of Walt Disney World. Nowhere is that more true than at Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser. Every crew member is fantastic, going above and beyond to offer superlative service while also bringing personality to their roles. They embody the fabled Disney difference, something that has been fading from Walt Disney World since the 1990s and is now better associated with Disney Cruise Line or Tokyo Disneyland." Close quote. Walt Disney World News Today echoes a very similar sentiment. Quote, "The cast overall are a huge highlight of the experience. Regular readers will know we always say live entertainment is the magic, and it's so apparent here. But even the crew members who weren't actors were incredible. Everyone on board has a story. They'll tell you their home world, information about their character, and we even learned some Star Wars facts along the way. We didn't have a single bad experience with the cast. They were truly exceptional. I know many of you are concerned about the level of role play involved. This adventure is up to you. Even as a bystander, it's so much fun to watch, and you'll still feel involved. Because this first cruise was mainly for this review and to learn about all the experience, I didn't participate much. I sat back to watch and see what people were doing and how everything worked. I wished I had put myself out there more. On the next cruise, I'm going to go full out and really dive into it. It really is what you make of it. You'll still have a ton of fun if you don't get involved with the roleplay aspect, but if you put yourself in the story and actively participate, it's a whole nother level." Close quote. Again, the biggest common denominator with almost every review I've seen when it comes to the enjoyment level of the Star Wars Hotel is how much of yourself you're willing to throw in. Both reviews from Walt Disney World News Today and Disney Tourist Blog were underwhelmed by their excursion to Batuu, to Galaxy's Edge. And Disney Tourist Blog said the lightsaber training was underwhelming, although everyone in his party that he asked would disagree with him. He felt that it wasn't even on par with some video game technology that you can get at home. Anyway, Walt Disney World News Today says the food and beverages are not that great. Quote, "The buffets in the Crown of Corellia dining room were lackluster. 1 or 2 things at each buffet were good, but the rest ranged from under-seasoned to flavorless to outright gross. The few good things are good, not great, and the rest ranges from mediocre to bad. At one point during the lunch buffet on day 2, we were laughing because there were chocolate chip cookies. They ended up being the best thing during the meal. For dinner on the second night, each dish is themed to a different planet for a taste around the galaxy. It's cool, the presentation is fun. The chefs come out and introduce each dish and give a little history about it. The lighting and music change, and the servers all come out in a line and present the dishes to each table. Both dinners have their moments. The food was a mixture of good and forgettable. Nothing was outright bad, but again, a lot was under-seasoned. The dinners are solid and definitely better than the buffets, close quote. I mean, hey, most food on cruises that I've been on sounds about the same. The buffets are usually gross. You just see a bunch of people in the corner with like mountains of food. It's quantity over quality. It's gross. Sounds like this Star Wars buffet is no different. So, look. I understand I have not been on the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser, but these 2 reviews, and please read them in their entirety, they both deserve a full read, but I found these 2 reviews to be more measured and informative than almost any video review I've seen. If you want a video review, I highly recommend DFBGuide's video review. It's probably the best objective video review I've seen on the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser. I highly recommend checking out that video. I'll link to it in the description below. I'll link everything in the description below, the articles, this video, all that stuff, but I highly recommend checking out that video if you want something that isn't just like gushing over every minor little incy-wincy Star Wars thing, you know? It's a really well done video. If you're looking for an objective view of this thing, I cannot recommend it enough. So yeah, all in all, I don't think this is for me. The experience doesn't seem like it's worth it, in my opinion, the money, obviously. I'm a value for my dollar kind of guy. And the idea of spending like $6,000 on something like this for a couple days actually makes me cringe. I mean, I could probably rent a super nice cabin with a beautiful mountain view in the Blue Ridge for an entire month and hike every day with my family and stargaze and eat and drink locally 3 meals a day, and then probably have enough money left over to buy a Celestron 8 SE telescope for $1,600 and put $1,000 into my kids' college or whatever fund. But that's just me. I'll close this video out with a quote from the Walt Disney World News Today review. It's an important one. Quote, "In good faith, I have to say this. Please do not put yourself in debt to go to the Star Wars hotel. I know I'm sitting here telling you that it's great, but it's not worth putting yourself in a hole financially, and I assure you, this isn't going away. At some point, bookings will go lower. It's inevitable. Disney will burn through the number of people willing to pay that much, and everyone who wants to do it will have done it. Eventually, they'll need to update or change the experience so people want to come back. But in between those 2 moments, there will be lower rates. Groups like annual pass holders and Disney Vacation Club members will get discounts, and it will be more affordable. If you feel like you need to do this, but it's a big financial burden, wait Disney out. The chips will eventually be down, and when they are, they'll always come back for the rest of us. That being said, if you can afford to do this, do it. It's really cool. To see unencumbered creativity at work is amazing. I love the artistry, and nothing has ever brought me greater joy than to see what it can be at its full potential. The live entertainment is so powerful, so much more magical than any attraction could be. It's the forefront and star here. When the whole experience comes to an end and the whole ship is packed into the atrium and screaming and cheering, and the Star Wars music swells over the noise, it's a powerful moment you will never forget. It really made me emotional." Close quote.